Congress often talks about how criminals use shell companies to launder money. The Corporate Transparency Act is an important part of that conversation, but it's only a part of the equation. Criminals also use shell companies and muddled corporate structures to secure the tools of the drug trade. Today, I'd like to focus on one particularly troubling example. The U.S. registered planes are used and are a critical tool by the cartels to move drugs. Before speaking further, I want to show you a brief video how the cartels use these planes to cause chaos, and then I'll carry on about that. So let's see the video if we can. I hope this is not an example that video doesn't work.
Drug cartels use shell companies and government loopholes to get their hands on American planes.
But that same open market also supplies a key part of the logistics here. Well, the fires deprived most of this plane of kind of distinguishing characteristics, but you can still see N4 there, N meaning this plane originated in the United States.
U.S. planes are carrying cartels' poison to our shores, killing Americans and causing deadly destruction. We can't let bad actors put our security at risk. Close the loopholes. Protect American lives.
Now, a certain date on April 20th, 2020, Sinaloa cartel crash-landed an American airplane in the Guatemalan forest. The plane was loaded with over 1,600 kilos of cocaine, and that cocaine was destined for the United States. U.S. law enforcement tracked the cartel's movement, and the Guatemalan military sprang into action. The first team to arrive had just 10 soldiers. You know, they were met with a cartel army of 150. This same scene repeated itself hundreds of times in countries throughout Central America, leaving many to wonder how cartels get their hands on American planes. The answer is buried in reams of fraudulent paperwork piled up at the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA for short. Criminals disguised by shell companies dupe the FAA into registering planes with U.S. tail numbers. Those tail numbers shield the planes from foreign law enforcement scrutiny. This allows millions of dollars worth of drugs to sail through the airspace undetected. Once the drugs reach their destination, the plane is destroyed and the criminals walk away with net profits. The FAA is aware of this problem, but hasn't changed its registration process. 10 years ago, we had a 2013 Inspector General report warning the FBI about vulnerabilities in this system. Those warnings went largely ignored. Then in 2020, the Government Accountability Office, GAO, report raised the issue once again. GAO recommended the FAA make 15 corrections to its registration process. 4 years later, the FBI has only implemented 3 of those 15 recommendations. We've all seen the damage a plane can do in the hands of an enemy. None of us will ever forget how airplanes turned into weapons of mass destruction during the worst terrorist attack on American soil, 9/11, as you know. But 23 years later, the FAA still appears to act like a rubber stamp instead of a watchguard. I want to thank Senator Whitehouse for holding this important hearing and our witnesses for being here. I'm particularly glad to have Ms. Rebecca Shea here to speak about what the GAO 2020 report says. Lastly, I want to thank U.S. law enforcement, military, and our allies who risk their lives to keep us safe from criminals. I look forward to discussing how Congress can provide needed tools for this fight.